Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another amazing special episode of the Life Pod. We are here with Harry, the director and owner of Harkon Construction, and also entrepreneur, everything, investor into Neverhome. There's a lot of titles for you, Harry. Firstly, thank you so much for allowing us the opportunity to film the episode in your beautiful... I don't think there's words to describe it.
This is not even a home. This is a gallery, like an art gallery almost.
It's amazing.
So
it's
thank
amazing.
you very much for
Harry,
us
thank you so much.
Please, thanks. Thank you guys.
So Harry, there's a lot of people who, obviously you've never really had a massive social media presence.
No.
And now you're starting to pop up in a lot of different places.
Yeah, thanks, Johnny.
Yeah, thank you, Johnny. And I think that's the first thing that people would love to know, like, who is Harry? Where did Harry come from? What does he do? So tell us a little bit of a backstory about you, sort of your upbringing and sort of how that led you into business.
Yeah, so I came to Australia in '98 as on a student visa, doing my computer science engineering degree at RMIT.
Yeah.
So came here, tried to study a bit, but they threw me out because the work-life study balance wasn't good enough, and I was working too much and not studying as hard. And paying my fee, paying my fee, and they just chucked me out. There was I think 16 grand every 6 months I need to pay for the fee.
Wow.
For the uni.
Really?
Yeah.
16 grand every 6
Yeah.
months. And it was a 4 or 5 year course?
That was a 4-year course. So I used to earn my ass off.
Yeah.
And that's it, and pay the fee, and went on for 1.5 years, and eventually I was just failing more subjects than I should be. And the RMIT made a decision that, Harry's no good. He has to be checked out. So they chucked me out. So then I went back to Homesland up in Chetty. I did my advanced diploma.
Chadston Homesglen, wow.
Yeah. And again, obviously pay more fee for 2 years.
Yeah.
Did my advanced diploma. But then I got my cab license. So I was a cabbie. So the money was a bit better than washing dishes.
I've heard the cab license is very expensive.
Back then...
I think back then it was pretty...
To buy a license was about $500,000.
Wow.
For the plate and the car. But nowadays it's pretty much free.
Okay.
Not much. Because Uber just killed everything.
Yep.
Yeah. So they got to compete.
And so I started earning. But before that was hard because I used to do 4-hour shifts for $40.
Wow.
$10 an hour. Washing dishes and wasn't enough money. But once I went to Homesland I used to make $1,000 a week driving cabs. And so then I can pay a bit better, and just used to work 4 days than 7 days, and did my advanced diploma. I went back to RMIT, did my degree in full, the engineering, computer engineering degree, and and then tried to get a job. I've worked in Telstra earlier as a data tester. I think it was 40 or 50 grand a year, and 10, 15 grand taxman used to take, so bugger all was left.
Yep.
And I said, and when I went to get my degree, I think that was after 6 years of coming, that was 2004, and I wasn't even earning anything. I said, man, I've worked everything that I could for 6 years, and I can't even get a decent job. Yep. So I went in my cab uniform to get my degree as a rebellion, with my badges on for the cab. Like
that is amazing. that is so good.
Fuck this. Nothing works. So I got my degree and did my cab. And then open up, and I want to open up any business. So I started looking at the franchisees which are there, because I saved 50 grand driving cabs.
Sorry to cut you off. How long did that take you?
To save 50 grand?
Yep.
I think probably a couple of years. Probably one.
I think that's a really big point to touch on, because a lot of younger guys and girls think, I want to get this capital to invest into something or a business, and they don't realize that it's not a quick process. Like, if you're working a full-time job and trying to study, you need to slowly,
Doesn't happen overnight.
couple $100 a week over a few years is what's going to give you that capital.
Yeah. I didn't used to have any flash cars, any clothing. I literally just saved up everything, whatever. I didn't use to, like $20 was my budget for the weekend, for some alcohol and some food.
Yep.
Every Saturday and Saturday, $20, $40 was my budget, and everything else was just saved
Savings.
up. And $1,000 for a month for the groceries and the bills and everything on a shared accommodation. So eventually, I saved that money. I was very much interested in politics, so I went back home 6 months back in India, but
Sorry, were you born?
no. I was born in India, came here, 98.
Yep.
After 6 years, when I got my permanent residency, PR,
Yep.
I went back home. If I can represent my people and make a better country, do what it is. I was there for 7 months. I got my sister married, paid for her wedding because expensive weddings back home, and nothing worked. It's rotten from the ground up. The
Yeah.
whole politics, the corruption is.
Yes.
I said, not this.
I have
not
heard
me."
that.
Huh?
I have heard that. Yeah.
That's the same with most third world countries now, whether
Yeah,
it be
that's it.
Indonesia, Palestine, Lebanon, they're all sort of the same.
Yeah. It's they say democracy is nowhere near democracy.
Nah,
it's
nowhere near.
dictatorship back
Yeah.
home. So I came back. I said, no, fuck this. I just earned some money, which I started looking for some franchisees. Kept on driving cabs because that was a cash flow for me every week. Applied for the Sumo Salad back then. That was a franchisee.
The franchise. Yep.
Yeah, they won't give it to me. They said I got no experience. Then there was a Resimac, a finance franchise. Paid them. I think we paid them 25 or 28 grand. But they went bust on us. They won't give us the money. They said no. So I said okay. So that money was gone. Then I had another 25 grand on me. And I got another of my uni mates, Sam, with me, and opened up a finance company, Super Loans, back then in Hawthorne. Still kept on driving cabs for the next 2-3 years, and the finance company started working, started earning some money, and and I think after 3 or 4 years, cab and finance, then finally got my first property back in Huntingdale.
Wow.
Yeah. Beautiful.
For I think it was $500,000.
So that was the first property.
That's the first property.
Harry's first property.
Yeah, 15 Berkeley Street.
And what year was this?
This was in 2006
In Huntingdale.
in Huntingdale.
Wow.
For
Wow.
$500,000.
Yeah.
Was at auction. The price was 400. I had no idea. So I thought we might get it for 400, but they're all undercoat. Yeah.
Yeah. That always.
So the auction went up to 500. Bought it for 500. I got married then in 2007. So we moved in, and then eventually I got a permit for a DO-lock, which means we got a permit to build one house at the back. In 2-3 years, got one of my mates to build that property, paid him a couple of hundred upfront, and he did a run on me. He won't build for next 1.5 years because my father was diagnosed with MND, which is a motor neuron disease. So he had probably 3-4 years to live. So I said, okay, I'll move my father back here. He can live at the back, and I can have some of the years with him in the last years.
Yeah.
But then this mate of mine won't build it. And then I took the things on my own hand, built the house at the back, the double
So
story.
you lost that 200 to 300,000, and they didn't build
200.
it. 200.
I think I lost about 100, and then I built my own.
Wow.
But then I got my builder's license because of it, as a builder.
Everything happens
You're like,
for
you
a
know what,
reason.
stuff here, I'm going to do it myself.
Everything happens for a reason.
Yeah, so
Wow.
I dealt with the trades, built that house, and then I made $1 million out of it because the first house was paid up after some time, and the back house we sold for 900, and the front house I renovated and sold that as well. So that was the first $1 million I made out of it,
Insane.
and that's it.
First million, you said 2007?
That was in probably 2006 I bought it, probably 2010.
Wow. First million in
And that's
2008.
it. I just never looked back.
And then from there, just
It just-
go.
Yeah, and then I knew how to make money in property as well, and that's it. And that was jackpot. And
So you,
Sitting, I guess, in this work of art,
yeah.
what's it, around, it's about 24, 25 million?
The asking price on this?
Yeah.
25 mil.
All right, so 25 million.
it was,
And we're sitting here now. I guess a question I have for you is, back then,
Yeah.
when you were in Holmes Glen, Chadstone,
Yeah.
in university,
Yeah.
what was your vision for where you wanted to be in the future? Was it this currently with a 10-car garage downstairs, sitting in a $25 million home? Was that the vision?
Now, it might sound funny to you. There was no vision as such. I just wanted to be successful because, okay, so a little bit past. So 4 generations back, my great-grandfathers We used to have a thing called, like we were one of the richest merchants in India. This thing called Hundi, which is like a credit card 100 years ago.
Yeah.
You can cash anywhere in India. We were richer than the kings back then.
Yeah, wow.
But then a generation can only remain wealthy for one generation. The second generation is a little bit weaker. Third is, and fourth loses the money, apparently.
Oh, okay.
That's what happened. So my father lost all his money. So he used to lend money in share markets. Share market crashed. The argument is that you got 100 grand shares.
Yep.
We'll give you 50 grand, 50%. And if the shares goes back $1, no one returned the money.
Yeah.
So I had that mindset back from childhood that because my father lost all his money, I got to work hard and
You want to change the bloodline.
Yeah, at least my kids don't have to suffer monetarily. At
Yeah.
least. So I always want to work hard and at least set a platform again, so no one has to. And I was very passionate, very energetic from the word go. I was very passionate in sports. Soccer was my game, but I couldn't even buy the trades. I kept asking my parents to buy the studs for me, the shoes,
Yeah.
but I just couldn't even get the shoes back then.
Yeah. They're expensive.
Yeah, they're expensive, and then we couldn't get it. I was in a smaller town, and it just wasn't there. So I was just very passionate about anything I was doing. Even when I was dishwashing, people saying that jobs are bad, whether it's cleaning or you're dishwashing. Trust me, cab driving was the best job I ever did. I even say that to this day. That 9 years of my life for cab driving, that's the best experiences I had. I had the best chats with the drunk people. I learned the Aussie culture, what
Yeah.
the true Aussie is. People say this is racism. I never had experienced any racism. I was 21, and I was dumb as hell. And that was the best experiences of my life. I think every job teaches you something, and every job did. Whether it's dishwashing, I took so much abuse when I was dishwashing that it made me stronger and stronger.
Resilience.
Build
Resilience,
armor.
yeah. People think, like when you're loud and you swear and you fight, I think that's a weakness that,
It
that
is.
you portray.
Yeah.
Strong people don't fight. The strength is what that you step back, not step ahead. And that's what every job taught me that for the next 10 years.
I think one of the coolest things that you said, and a lot of people don't see, is like alongside you doing your side hustle, whether it be the finance or the construction at the time, you were still cab driving because you have to build that capital. And people don't want to go through the shit. They just want to go to the construction or the finance or the lots of money straight away. They don't want to.
It's perspective too. Like Harry was enjoying that.
Yeah,
Throughout that
100%.
time as well.
But people look down on your dishwashing or cab driving or Uber, but it's like if that's what's going to help you generate cash flow and capital to invest into your own business or a franchise, like that's what has to be done. People don't want to do the bad stuff before the good.
I think that's a topic now is people see with social media, people see everyone having everything
correct.
and then think it's an overnight thing where there's sacrifices need to be made. You know, you were
There's no fly by the night.
no, there's not. And I think especially social media being a big part of that, everyone just thinks it's going to happen tomorrow and I have to make it happen tomorrow. You know, it's just
Or
ridiculous.
even the fact that, you know, people know you, oh, he does construction. So, oh, I'll get into construction.
Yeah, correct.
But it's like the first lot of money came from saving from cab driving and then you built your own house and then sold it. It wasn't directly from being in construction.
True.
It's the baby steps that lead you to the bigger picture and then it flows on from there.
And then whether it's construction or never home or manufacturing sofas or anything, you will be successful eventually. Especially in a country like Australia. You don't need much luck.
It's like a game of odds. If you're, if you're doing it enough, there's going to be that one time that'll pay off.
Yes, true. As long as you true to yourself and hard work and pay your bills on time, you will get there.
So my next question is, obviously, I know that you do obviously land banking and you're a broker as well.
Yep.
Why did you not ever do something related to what you studied? What made you move away from that?
I did computer engineering and I tried my waters up in Telstra and landed up with this 50 grand job as a data tester. But that was paying me less than a cab driving.
Yeah. You're like, there's no future in this, I might as well move away
the
from
Telstra
it.
job was giving me, I think, $500 net a week.
Wow.
You can't do anything with that. You can't save. You
Can't live.
And here, cab driving 4 days was giving me $1,000 a week. So
It gave you that
we
more
are the maths.
flexibility
And
as
this
well.
was after 6 years of degree.
Wow.
So I'm not saying that jobs are bad or anything, but I couldn't get much success in it.
So the construction industry is a very complex industry, and obviously you studied computer engineering.
Yeah.
Where did you, I guess, facilitate all the information needed? Because it's a very easy industry to get into and stuff up. and either overcapitalize,
Yeah.
lose a lot of money. Where did you get most of your information from the construction industry and real estate and all of that?
Look, people think that construction is like obviously it's fancy, yeah, construction and finance and whatever, like Gucci, Louis Vuitton. But business is very simple. It all comes back to fine tuning. Like I used to, like it might sound funny to you. So I used to drive cabs, $1,000 a week is what I earn, and then I went on and owned 75 cabs in Australia. I had the biggest taxi depot in Canberra. Canberra only had 225 cabs altogether back then, and I used to own pretty much 100 out of the 50% of the fleet in Canberra. I used to own.
Yeah, wow.
Under super cabs, and then I had about 40 cabs in Adelaide and about similar in Melbourne. So I had a big fleet, and I didn't used to. So there were more than 150 cabs I used to own then, and I didn't used to earn even $1,000 a week from 150 cabs.
Wow.
When I was driving a cab for myself, because the guys who were running the show in Canberra and Adelaide, in Melbourne, they weren't capable enough, and we were losing money. So business is all about fine tuning. It doesn't matter how big you are; it all comes down to fine tuning.
Money in, money out.
Simple, and I learned that very early on. So when I used to do cab driving, my mates, they used to earn a couple of $100 a night on Saturday. I used to make 500 a night. So I used to work my ass off, 18 hours shifts, and I know where the right people, get all the information where the events are, where the nightclubs are. It's all about fine tuning on how you earn the money. The industry doesn't matter as much if you know how to do fine tuning the business.
Yeah.
Same goes for the construction. So you can go and build 100 houses. A lot of my mates do. They still build 100 houses. And I build 10 houses and I make more money than those 100.
Yeah.
You got to know how to make
Quality
it's
over
not about the volume.
Yeah.
Quality over
and
quantity.
Does that come from just making sure that your expenses are low and you are building the house? Like, what are the things that allow you to make better margins than other construction companies?
Yeah, so exactly. So that all comes down to the knowledge and the experience of where to buy the right properties and how much to build and what's the end demand. How much is the demand in that suburb? So you can go and build, like I'm literally building 20 houses in Werribee at the moment, and I'm building one in Glen Waverley, and I'm making more money in Glen than I'm building for 20 houses in Werribee. Different.
Johnny, you mentioned that you've bought a bunch of lots in Rockbank.
Yeah.
And that's where you're going to be sort of subdividing. Like as soon as they get rezoned, you're buying because obviously you know that the demand is going to be so much higher. So is that sort of like almost forecasting where you know that in 1 or 2 years that's going to be a very high demand area, so you'll buy before that inflation happens?
True. So it's called PSP or rezoning. So we go and buy parcels of land, more than 20 acres. So we envisage that in 3 or 5 years, this lands will be rezoned or they will be PSP approved. So what we bought for 20 million, so we go on acreages. So argument's sake, we buy for 300 an acre, that will be $1 million an acre. So it all comes down to knowledge and the networking that you create.
For those who don't know what PSP is, can you please explain what PSP is?
So what it is, so there's 3 stages of land in a raw terms, at least in metropolitan Melbourne. So one is the green veg or the farming zones, which the government says, okay, these are green veg farming zones. You shouldn't be developing that because we already got a lot of stock, and they will stay like this for the next 100 years. And then they come in the UGZ, which is urban growth zone with VPA, Victorian Planning Authority. That means that they might be allowed for development. You can chop them up and do industrial, commercial, or housing estates there. And after UGZ, it becomes PSP, which means now it's ready to develop. You can do commercial, industrial, or residential, and that's your NDA, net developable area. From 100 acres, you can develop 80 acres of that. And so that's the stages. So a raw land might be for 100 grand an acre, UGZ might be $500,000 for acre, and PSP might be $1 million an acre. Yeah, so it just doubles up.
Wow.
But again, you can lose. It's like crypto. People think that it's so fancy, everyone's a billionaire. 90% of the people invest in crypto, they fail. Only 10% succeeds. But you only see in social media what 10% is. So it's all fancy, but it's not fancy. 90% do fail. Same in land banking. 90% people fail in land banking.
Yep.
Just imagine you got $100 million of land. The loan is $50 million, half of it. The interest installments on that will be probably $1 million a month.
Yeah, land banking is interesting because, again, you don't have any income there as well most of the time.
Yeah, and you can go down very easily.
Yeah.
1 year of paying interest, you're gone. Like I used to own 4 colleges in Australia, 2 in Adelaide and 2 in Melbourne, and the rent expense on that alone was 50 grand a month. I ran that for 2-3 years, and we couldn't get anywhere, and we stopped it. So that's what happens. Every monthly expense can just kill you very quickly. So everything is not as fancy.
So with the land banking, is it sort of you buy and then you? So are you planning on building residential? Are you planning on building commercial?
Depends. So when we buy the land, they so I don't gamble much myself. Like I'm not a big gambler. So when I buy the land, I make sure that it's normally PSP approved. It's not green veg. It's not urban growth zone. Because even the middle ground, which is a huge EZ, that might take another 50 years.
You know that the return's going to be there.
Yeah. So it might not rezone in the next 50 years. Even PSP takes 10 years. So normally I buy mostly which are near PSP or PSP approved.
We aspire, a lot of our guests do as well, and even Johnny does it as well. It's like a lot of people say to do one thing and do it really, really well, whereas you've got your hands dipped in a few different things, construction, finance, all that sort of thing, and you do them all very well.
Yep.
What do you think it takes to do something like that? Or what are your thoughts on, should people stick to just construction? Should they do multiple things? What do you think?
I think you should just stick to one thing as such, which you're good at. So like I'm good in finance and construction, so I try to stick in one thing. But then like Never Home, Johnny runs Never Home. I don't. I'm with him, but Johnny runs it, and I know Johnny's hardworking. He'll do it. Similar for finance, I got people running the finance. Similar for construction, I got 20 supervisors running the show, and I trust each one of them. Like I meet you in 5 minutes, I know where you stand with experience and knowledge. Same like in cab driving. When a guy used to sit in the cab, after 5 years, I know he's going to be a runner, or he'll be respectful, he'll pay the money after the trip ends, and he'll be okay. You just get this third eye after a while to understand people where they come from. Yeah. So you just sense people that they're the right people to connect with, because that's only 10% of the equation. 90% are fake, that I believe. They just fake the way. But you meet the right people, stick on with them, and they run the shows for you. And you only do the things that you should be doing.
That leads me, I guess, to my next question, because you mentioned before that you're not really much of a gambler, but somewhat of an investor. And then obviously, you've got a relationship with Johnny and, his clothing brand too, which we have been involved with in the sense of, buying his stuff for a very long time. How did that all come about? Obviously, you guys met. And then you must have seen something there.
What made you see the vision? What made you go, this, I see a really big future of this? Because obviously we've known Johnny for years. We know the clothing's sick. He's very hardworking. His marketing is insane. His personal branding is second to none. And look, we know that it does have a really bright future, and it's going to scale so far.
And we're stoked for him too.
Hard. He's a very hard worker, and he deserves all of it.
Yeah.
What made you see that? What made you go, what? I know this is going to work.
Yep. So it's funny. So I was training up in Muscle City in Bentley back then with my personal trainer, Akshay. And he used to show me the videos of Johnny Star. So it becomes like a small idol for us, Johnny. And he was training on this stepper.
Always. He's always on the stepper, man.
Always.
He's always on that stepper.
And we just walked past and I said, Akshay, and just looking at the legs from the back, I said, Akshay, that's Johnny. I said, how the fuck you know, Harry? I said, I know the legs. And we went and we did our workout. We came back and Johnny was stepping down. I said, you must be, you Johnny Star, aren't you? He said, yeah, I am. So we are small fans of you. And we shook our hand and we started the conversations. And he's in real estate. So so Gareth, his boss, is very good friend of mine. Gareth is what I know him for 15 years. He's sold and bought a lot of
properties for me.
He's
a director at O'Brien's?
Director of O'Brien. Gareth Absworth. I know your director. I know everyone in real estate. So it's easier to connect. And then we connected all the other developers, all the other agents, and we knew each other. I said, hey, I'm a developer or builder as well. And we started did some workout sessions together. And I just loved the way, and I just knew, he was so hardworking. And we called some days, okay, let's go out and have a drink. No, I don't drink anymore, or I don't do anything. It has to be, because I got to do my merchandise, do my personal messages at night. And then I saw his videos. He was working bloody midnight most of the nights and get up 5 and when he used to work out, serious. So I said, no, he's a hardworking guy, heads down. That's what you need. You don't need people who just party all the time or just flash all the time. He has and one of the things that clicked me, he has the oldest car. It's a red color Toyota Camry.
Yeah, the Camry.
I said, well, this guy's real. He's not driving a bloody Lamborghini or a G-Wagon and blowing all his money away. here he is down and working hard on his clothing brand and the real estate because they gave him a couple of properties to sell. And with the interaction, I saw, okay, he's a real deal. And then he started talking about his never home, the passion about it.
Vision.
Okay, so let's just make it happen. I'll throw some money. We'll become joint, and I know that should work. So that's where it started.
And I'm telling you now, it will. Just based on two things. Based on obviously the quality of the product itself.
Yeah.
Quality of a product in any business.
Yeah.
Alongside hard work will always succeed. So
Yes.
yeah, you guys are going to go very, very far. And like Johnny's vision for it is so high, and it will get there. It really, really will. And I genuinely believe that.
Yeah.
I think similar to you, he just knows what sacrifices need to be made for success.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I meet people all the time. They're wearing the Gucci, your Pradas and Louis Vuittons and driving in your flash cars to my office, and they got nothing on them.
Yeah.
They have to support themselves with this brands or with this showcase for them to who they are. But that's not. You should be who you are, not things.
Not materialistic things
and
define you.
not things to support you to become to who you are.
We were actually talking about that, I think, on the car ride here, and how, I guess, how genuine Johnny is, because at the moment with social media, there's a lot of people where it's just all smoke and mirrors.
Yes.
They flaunt that they have something when they don't.
Yeah.
And I was also having a conversation where I think most of the successful people I know, somewhat similar to yourself, they don't even have a social media presence.
Yeah.
They've got a business, a system, and that's what drives them to,
Yeah, very true.
And I think a lot of people just, especially in today's day and age, have this mindset of a big social media following means your business is successful. And you're a prime example of the exact opposite. It's like if you're just a hustler and you make lots of money and you invest and you're always upskilling, that's what makes you successful. It's like, again, the smoke and mirrors is just an effect. It's a persona almost, which I feel like a lot of people get sucked into very, very easily.
Yeah. No, very, very true.
So is Never Home, sorry, just touching on Never Home a bit, is Never Home sort of, you're there and letting Johnny...
Yeah, I'm the silent partner in that, half with Johnny, and Johnny's, obviously I go to the meeting, I speak to him every day, and we make sure that we are on the right track. But Johnny's the one running the show.
And that'll be floating on the ASX, hopefully. He was telling me that's one of the goals.
Yeah, that's one of his goals.
Yes, hopefully. Like, we really want to make it one of the
worldwide
brands in
from a
Australia.
business owner though, do you have much in the sense of ASX and businesses and all that sort of stuff?
Yeah.
Is that something you have dealt with in the past, or?
I've dealt with listings in the past.
Yeah.
Okay. Floatings of the company in the past. Yeah. So that's where the real money is. Yeah.
I think something I wanted to touch on again is just to show perspective for people of the highs and the lows. And Johnny mentioned this as well about the Flinders Street station story.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit more about that. What happened? How did we get there? What caused that situation?
Nothing. So when I started doing the dishwashing job, so obviously I lost. I had $7,000 that my father gave me when I came to Australia for the cash flow. But I went to Crown. I earned some money, gambled roulette or the blackjack, earned $500, $700. Got my first Nokia phones. I said, wow, that's a great way of making money. Went back again and again and again. I think 7th, 8th time, I lost all the $7,000 there. So I was sitting at the Yarra station, suicidal. And then this Sri Lankans came past, and I had a chit chat with them. He said, oh, we can get you a job here. I said, wow, okay, get me a job. And they got me a job with this advanced agency washing dishes and the pot wash, $10 an hour. They gave me a 4-hour shift to start with. So I earned my $40. And then it just kept on going from there. So I worked in Crown for the next 4 years in every way, pushing trolleys, washing dishes, Sante, King's, Buffet.
So you worked at Crown?
At Crown for 4 years.
Yeah.
I worked everywhere, Melbourne Aquarium.
And you can't gamble at Crown if you work there.
You can't gamble at Crown anymore. But I used to get free.
Oh, fuck.
I used to get free food, but because you can get free food if you work in Crown, and at least the food was sorted.
Yeah.
So I was so happy. We used to wear gumboots this high, and sometimes when I used to enter the King's or Sunday buffet, we used to go to the kitchen, and on top of sinks there were platters, and the platters were touching the ceiling. So we used to jump on the sinks, get the platters down, and then wash it, and then slowly the pile used to come down. So I had 12, 13 hour shifts in the pot wash. Pot wash is the hardest dishwash that you can get. They give you a big hose with the hot water, and you gum boots because you pretty much have to jump into the big pot. Some pots are this big pot, and just clean the pots off.
Wow.
Jesus.
And then you get the easier dishwashing after that. And I was the fastest dishwasher there then.
This is something that I've said on almost every episode of our podcast. It's been over 2 years now. And it's like, again, people don't see those little hard moments where you lost all of that money. Yeah, okay. Okay, $7,000 to us at the time is a lot of money.
Yeah, of course, that's everything I got.
Exactly. And then for you to lose that, again, be sitting there suicidal at Flinders Street Station, buy yourself a really small phone, and then given an opportunity to earn $10 an hour is like life-changing at that point in time. But again, people don't want to go through the struggle, and they don't understand that it's not always going to be perfect. There is going to be failure. You are going to lose money. You learn, you make new mistakes. But it's like if you never make mistakes, you can't grow.
And one thing people don't understand, like I've literally traveled the whole world. You name it, and I've been there.
Johnny says that you literally travel every week. You're going to Bali this week?
Yeah, this weekend. Last.
Is that just to get away for a holiday, or?
Yeah, just 2-3 days.
Excellent.
Every second week I go away, and like even I lost money. You get a chance in Australia to earn back. In many countries, you do not. In India, you try to get a job, you may not get a job. But that's one good thing. Doesn't matter how down you are in Australia, you always will pretty much guaranteed to get a job. If you and at the moment, I got 50 laborers working for me every day. We pay them $30 an hour. If you're hardworking, you're always guaranteed to get a job. Back home, you may not.
Yeah,
that's very, very, very big point. So you cannot fail if you're hardworking.
I love that. You said if you're hardworking. That's it. It's if you're hardworking. It doesn't just come. It's if you put in the time and effort and the sacrifices, it comes to you.
I've been to Africa. You can literally pay 20 cents for someone to scratch your ear whole day, and they'll sit here scratch your ear. That's how poor they are. So
how do you know that, Harry?
Because I did Kilimanjaro, the track, and the poverty is deadly. So you're very lucky. We are very lucky to sitting here in this country that you can always earn yourself back. No problems.
That's another conversation I was having with someone yesterday, believe it or not, is perspective. And people don't understand how lucky they actually have it in this world. You know, like, I guess the one true aspiring thing about yourself, Harry, I mean, from what I've heard today, is, you know, you've had the lowest of lows and the highest of highs. And, you know, you've had the same lessons throughout. You weren't someone who came to this country with, you know, wealth from, you know, your generations on, like you said, you know, you came here with, I guess, just the want to work hard and build something.
And that's what it is. There is. It's no magic bullet overnight. Like, because I do so much finance, we fund a lot. We fund millions every month, and I see people. They're literally in the work clothes, where they're bunning t-shirts or the shitters of the cars, and they come to my office and they got 20 properties because I finance all of them, and they want to buy another 2 this month, and then there's another yobos that come in the flash cars and don't even have 50 grand to the name, and they want to own the world in a second. Like, you just know, like, you don't need to show off who you are. You just, after some time, the real people will just know.
Yeah.
I'll tell you an example. When we did this VIP night, I was with my kids. I got 2 kids, 12 and 13, Nikki and Fareed. I walked into the door, and there was a couple of these agents. They all were top shot agents. They were top Melbourne agents. They all sell $100, $200 million properties a year. And I walked in with my bunny t-shirts, and this couple of guys just totally, I said, hey, how are you? And they totally ignored me. And Nikki, my daughter, said, Papa, they totally stereotyped you. I said, okay, that's fine. I don't care. And after a while, when I told them, okay, I own this house, I built this house, and I was talking to the guys, and those couple of guys were lining up to have a chat with me again. And he said, Papa, they're lining up to have a chat with you. But that's what people don't. But because they're newbies, maybe new agents, they don't know who the real people. How to know
judge
who the real
character.
Ones. Yeah, and that's what most people do. They just stereotype you. But you don't care after a while. If you got something, you don't need to show off. And the real people just know who the real people are. You don't need to be someone.
I completely agree with that. And me being in the industry too, I think that's why, you know, I've found it so easy, because I've always believed in that. I think being real comes then with, you know, almost like an aura and an energy around you. And then you immediately from there on out attract what is set and destined for you anyway.
Yes.
So, you know, just going in, it's funny in the industry you're saying all the agents, because we're stereotyped as, you know, up, you know, we know everything. We're the best at what we do. Yeah. The 3-piece suit on, the ties. Yeah. I'll be honest, I go into listing presentations in a t-shirt and a blazer or a jumper, and people more real. They get along better with you.
Authenticity is very hard to find these days.
Because especially when we go buy our lands, most of the lands we buy are from the farmers, and
they're the most real people.
It's so easier to connect with the farmers if you just in your normal clothes rather than suits and ties and rocking them in G wagons or your Range Rovers. Yeah, and farmers want, because those farmers they don't have millions on them. They might have lands worth millions, but they don't have millions on them at the moment. They still might be having the tanks to have water or the sewage tanks. So they're really poor people in the end. They might have $100 million of land they own, but that's 3 generations that they own it from. So you got to really connect it at the bottom level with them and sit down with them, have a drink, and have a chat.
The good thing too is like adjusting to perspective, because I'm selling about 200 acres, 3 million-ish on the coast.
Yep.
And the guy that owns the land, it's funny you said that. I was like, what are you going to do when you sell and you have the money? He's like, I don't know, just probably go buy another shed or something. That's what they're like.
Exactly.
The perspective of what they see as value is completely different to someone who,
Because with this marketing and propaganda, the bigger mobs are just making us believe because if you think about it, like Louis Vuitton or Gucci, what's the value in them? Nothing. Yeah. What's the value? Like the value is gold, right? Even diamonds don't have value. That was all.
It's perception.
It's perception. That was marketed back in America in '60s, and they said diamonds forever. DBS controls the diamonds. It's unlimited supply. Yep. They control it. That's why the supply and demand is created. Yep. And
scarcity creates value.
Yeah, exactly. And they just made this hype about diamonds is forever, and everyone thinks that. Same goes like Swarovski, prime example. They literally are selling stones on the value of the diamonds. Yep. There's no value in Swarovski or any of the other jewelry brands, the fake brands.
100%.
Tiffany does, but then they sell it for 5 times the money.
Yeah.
But all this marketing has hyped up, and people have started believing in them now, and it's miserable or sad to see in a way, because normal people they don't know what's real and what's not. Property is real, cars are not, and it takes time to understand that. But the kids don't listen these days, do they?
I don't.
One thing we'd like to ask and get some insight is, if you're however old and you're looking to invest in land, what would be your take home tips for someone wanting to invest in either something that's already built or just land in itself?
I think we'll specify it. I think we'll specify it to people in their current circumstance. So let's just say, we'll put you in a position. If you right now, if you had, let's say $50,000-$60,000 cash.
Yep.
With your knowledge now, what would you do to invest?
So to start with, we gotta know what your skill set is. Like, what do you do? Like, whether you're an IT engineer, you're a musician, or you are, in some sort of marketing.
Let's use the example of a standard 9 to 5, just so
standard 9 to 5, a job or a tradie.
Admin or something, tradie.
Look, I'm a big believer. I've done a lot of businesses, whether it's insulation, your travel agency, your colleges, your RTOs, your cab industry, your security guards, your courier services. I've done most of the business, and I failed in most of them. I think property is one thing that doesn't go away. That's one biggest thing. Restaurants or cafes, you buy them for 100 grand, they can become $1 if they fail. Property doesn't fail. If you buy a block for 200 or 300 grand, it might come back to 250 if it's a recession or whatever. Normally it just goes up. In the last 100 years, Melbourne property has always increased by 5 to 6% a year. If it doesn't grow for 3-4 years, 5th year it will grow 20%. So I'm a big believer in property, more than even stock market. There's two main markets.
Brick and mortar.
Here. Sorry?
Brick and mortar.
Brick and mortar. So because normally the wealth is divided into stock markets or property, half and half. Right? But I'm a big believer in property because it doesn't go down to start with. So you can't. The chances of you to crash is very less. And then it's a passive income. Like, you can still do your 9 to 5 job, and if you get a business, you always have to uptake it. Like, you open up a gym, you have to put new machines in, you have to put new music in. After a year, you have to uptake a lot of. But land, you can leave it for 20 years, and it will still be the same. It might even appreciate after 20 years. So someone's got 50 grand saved up or even 30 grand saved up, at least go buy a small block of land. You don't have to buy in Brighton. You can buy in Werribee or
even interstate
or Clyde.
I think even interstate. I've seen some opportunities there too.
If you got the knowledge.
I've heard Perth is really good.
Sorry?
I've heard Perth is really, really good for buying land.
Perth at the moment is really good. Adelaide is good. But I did a lot of property or other investments in other states, and I've made a lot of losses. So I'm a bit of a believer now that where you stay, you should buy that because you got a little bit more control. You know what's happening. You know the real, the local real estate agents. You know the real market, the demand and supply. If you can, Melbourne is a great market. We will outpace Sydney in 5 years in population growth. So there's nothing wrong in Melbourne. Melbourne and Sydney have got the highest growth in Australia in the last 100 years. It's not Perth and Adelaide or Brisbane. Obviously, there's cycles that sometimes some states grow up more than other states, yes. But Melbourne and Sydney are always out there. So there's nothing wrong in Melbourne, if you talk about Melbourne. But again, yeah, Perth is a great market, Sydney is a great market. And then you go buy a piece of land somewhere, wherever you can buy, off the plan or on the plan, and if you can settle on it and build a house on it. So 200 land, or buy the smallest piece of land, don't go for a big one if you don't have much money. Build a house and there's 50 grand equity in it by the time you build it, if you get the right builder.
Yeah, because it's off the plan.
Because you buy the land.
And then it settles.
And you build it for 200 and you might, and the end house might be for 500 worth. That's the simplest piece of real estate that you can do, I think. Otherwise, you can go buy an established property which is not renovated, run down, looks ugly, and renovate a bit, and that's value added straight away if you find the right piece of property.
And then from there, just same thing over and over again.
And cash the equity out in a couple of years, and then you can buy the next one.
Just quickly, getting into, I guess, the real depth of things of what's the best structure to be purchasing properties with?
Look, if you're just buying your first properties, individual names are the best because by the time you open up a company that's $1,000 or a couple of grand for your accountant, then you have to lodge your tax returns, your past statements. If you're just buying your first few properties, 1 or 2 or 3,
in your
individual name is good as anything.
Yep.
But again, if you're gonna go buy 10, 20 properties, then we call it asset protection. Anything goes wrong with you, you go bankrupt. The properties have to be safe. So you buy them in the
discretionary trust,
or just under company.
Okay.
Discretionary trust or company. So because then the tax is the GST all